One of those hay's got to work.
Thank you for joining the Escape With Me Book Club. Escape with me, Sam Reiner.
And me, Tim Bergman.
Into our most recent read. Come with us as we evade reality and go into detail about a new book. We'll be covering the book from beginning to end, so there will be spoilers. Today we are returning to the fantasy land of Narnia, published October 15th, 1951. Prince Caspian is the second book published in the Narnia series. Do not even get me started on published date versus chronological.
Yep, that gets a bit confusing.
It's complicated and people have a lot of feelings, but it's fine. It's been a year in the real world, but an eon in Narnia, and now Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy are summoned once more to save the fate of Narnia. Can they help put the rightful king on the throne, or will they die trying? And will the movie make you want to, I don't know, not watch it?
Yeah, it's got a few issues.
We've got some thoughts. We apparently had some very similar thoughts.
I mean, it had some great reviews, but we'll get to that.
It got 66 on Rotten Tomatoes. Good reviews.
More than half.
Oh, goodness. Background for this, I've never read the books. This is my first time reading the books. I saw the first movie when it came out in theaters, and I really liked it. And then I saw this one when it came out in theaters. And all I remember thinking is, oh, Peter and Susan aren't allowed to go back to Narnia? I'm done. I lost all interest in the series.
Yep. For me, I have read this before. It was a really long time ago. I've had it read to me as a kid. But of all of the books, I think Prince Caspian and The Horse and His Boy are the ones that I remember the least.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember the silver chair, I remember the magician's nephew in the last battle, but Prince Caspian and the horse and his boy, I barely remember at all. So I was glad to reread this.
Yeah. So that background in mind, it's been a very interesting experience having watched the movies and then reading the books and watching the movies again. It's been very enlightening, I would say.
Yep. I think, this is on the second time that I watched the movie, probably.
This is the second time I watched the movie. Because I'm not going to watch Peter and Susan get kicked out of Narnia again. Duh.
They come back one last time. That's a spoiler for later. Keep that in mind, audience and co-host.
Age level for this is a children's book. Is it a children's movie? Wait a second, what's the rating? It is PG, so it is also a children's movie. Confirmed. Content warning, though. It's just got a little bit. Just a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of death.
It's just a little bit of murder. A little blood, a little graphic violence, a little language. PG-13 language.
Yep, and unlike the first movie, it's humans that are dying.
Yeah, and there is child abuse, physical. You see a kid just straight up get slapped in the book. But judging a book by its cover, I can't really do that because I saw the movie. But then again, I was like, maybe it's different in the book. But based on the first book, where I'm like, somehow the movie managed to get all the plot points and none of the spirit, that movie has a 75 on Rotten Tomatoes. And that felt accurate in my heart. And so this one has a 66. And I was like, oh no. And I don't remember anything from this movie because it came out in 2008, and that was a long time ago. But I vividly remember Peter and Susan being like, we're not allowed to come back. Priorities. I have an omnibus, so it just has a lion on it. But inside, it had a picture of, it looked like a duel. And come to find out, it's when Peter is fighting King Miraz. But we're going back to Narnia. Yay. Do you remember Little Tim thoughts?
I remember the cover. I actually remember the cover really vividly of Peter and Miraz fighting. And I found the cover, so I'm going to go ahead and send it to you. And that's the book that I had as a kid.
That was pretty cool.
Yep. And then I'll show you the book that I have right now.
It's a kind of a tan cover, but it has this really gorgeous view and very technicolor of Miraz fighting Peter. And Miraz is striking his shield, and that's causing sparks to fly out in this afternoon sun where the sky is orange. And so that's actually really cool.
Peter has a Burger King-esque crown on.
A little bit.
And Miraz has
a red cloud. It's a feather or whatever.
Yep. He also has a magnificent villainous mustache. You can clearly tell he is the bad guy.
For sure. And then the one you have now is just the movie cover.
Yeah, it is. Prince Caspian stares at me every time I drag the book out.
The motion picture epic continues.
Uh-huh.
It says at the top. Visit Narnia.com for special film and book features. Oh, books have features now?
Ask your parents before going online.
Is that like Bethesda's features? Or is this a real feature?
I have no idea. I have never been to Narnia.com.
Is it still around? Wait. Narnia.com. Yep, it is still around. Oh, they're doing a deluxe omnibus now that has splayed edges.
Ooh.
All of it is about the books. I don't see anything. Oh, there's an audiobook. There's Narnia for young readers. There's a counting book from the cover. 1 white witch, 2 beavers, 3 fawns. Oh, and then there's an animals book. This is fascinating. And I legitimately don't see anything about the movies on Narnia.com.
They go to the background.
They don't exist. We're making a TV show. Shut up. That's fascinating. Okay, I'm glad we went down that little rabbit hole before we get into the book. So, kids are just, hanging out.
Yep, they're about to go to school, and it's sad because the holidays are over and they have to go to school and there's still a war on.
And although they doesn't really talk about the war in this book, but they're going to go to boarding school. They're sitting there in the train station waiting to go, and all of a sudden they get this weird sensation that something's pulling them. In the movie, they say pinching, but in the book, it's pulling, and so they get pulled into this darkness, and then they come out of the cave. That is the first chapter. That's kind of it. They're on an island. Woo! The movie was like, you know what we need to add? So many character subplots.
Yep.
We need to add that Susan doesn't like nerdy boys, and Peter gets into fights because he misses being king of Narnia, which is going to be obnoxious for the rest of the movie.
Yep. This really is a Peter and Susan movie, despite in the book it being more of a Lucy and Edmund.
I thought they shared pretty well.
They actually did share pretty well, but Edmund really comes into his own in this book.
And yeah, he is so much better in this book. I'll stand by Edmund in this book. But they do a really good job of working together. But yeah, this is mainly Peter and Susan. And then at the end, Lucy gets her part, and then Edmund's just kind of there to fulfill his roles in the book.
Yep. He had his chance on the spotlight.
Twice.
Uh-huh.
Oh, they do actually. They give him a really good scene, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, they're on an island. They find the ruins of a castle. They realize it's their castle. Oh my goodness. How long have we been gone? And the book kids take way too long to realize, oh my gosh, we lived and became adults, but it had only been a couple hours in the real world. Imagine how much time has passed because of a year. Yeah, duh, guys. It's like day 3 on this island when they figure that out. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Do we want to talk about the movie?
Yeah, so the movie starts in media res and does a terrible job of catching you up.
Oh yeah, it starts with a birth. The very first scene is just a
birth. A random lady is giving birth.
Yeah.
And then Prince Caspian is asleep, and his tutor wakes him up, and he's like, you have to run away. You have to go now, now, now. He's like, we won't be looking at the stars tonight, or whatever. And I remember watching it, and I was like, no wonder I was never sold on this as a kid. Prince Caspian's story is basically skipped over. He fills it in a couple spots, but it starts at the birth, gives you no real background. It expects you to be caught up as you go, but come on, guys, this is a children's movie. Please spoon feed us. We have no idea what's going on. So a portion of the movie is them meeting each other, and then there's a bunch of stuff when they're already together. But in the book, for a majority of the book, they're separated. And it's kind of split into these 3 parts. One is them being on the island, and they meet a dwarf named Trumpkin. And that's the first part of the book, is their survival, figuring out what's going on, finding their stuff. Which I want to point out, in the book, they forget Lucy's dagger.
Huh. You're absolutely right.
Peter picks up his sword and shield. Susan picks up her bow and arrow, and she's like, my horn's missing. Edmund doesn't get anything, so he just pulls out random stuff from his whatever. And Lucy only pulls out her vial, her healing potion. The movie remembered it, which I will give the movie props for that. She has her dagger in the movie. But yeah, that's the first part. We've just done 4 chapters.
Yeah, I guess even Lewis forgot about it.
I will say it's really funny. So Trumpkin is about to be drowned. He's tied up. There's these 2 soldiers, and we're going to throw him in the water. Susan shoots an arrow to get them to stop. And I love this line so much. She shoots, she doesn't hit them. They get the dwarf, and she says to her siblings, I wasn't shooting to kill, you know. And I thought, oh, she's trying to be like, you know, I'm not a murderer, I'm not whatever. No, the next line is, she would not have liked anyone to think she could miss at such short range. I take back everything I said in the first book about it being lame that she doesn't use her bow and arrow. Yes, we have come into our own. It is, 1951. Women with bow and arrows. Let's go.
I do like how in the book, the longer they stay in Narnia, the more Narnia-ish they get.
Yes.
And Lewis mentions this kind of throughout all the scenes that they're in. Yeah, they're breathing in the Narnian air and they're becoming who they once were and all that.
Yeah, so they talk about how, they've spent so much time and they're basically 2/3 Narnian and 1/3 real world, to explain how they're really good sword fighters again, and suddenly they're really good with the bow and arrow, they're really good at leadership, they're really hardy and can live off the land. And in a way, not as blatant as the cupboard, but it does feel a little bit like C.S. Lewis going, normal children can't do this. Please don't go into the woods and try to survive off of apples. Thank you. I've made it clear how terrible it is.
Yeah, I was kind of annoyed that the characters are complaining and they're being grouchy. And I'm like, no, wait, they're all less than 16 years old. They're in the wild alone in their nice fancy clothing, doing incredibly arduous tasks. Yeah, I'd be grumpy.
Yeah, facts. So Trumpkin explains what's been going on since they left. And Prince Caspian is Prince Caspian the 10th. He's the rightful ruler, but his uncle took over as king.
As Lord Protector.
As Lord Protector, but he finagled his way into being king by this point. After the mysterious death of Caspian's father, which you come to find out is murder. And I'm like, oh my goodness, Hamlet. Except he didn't marry his mom. Dang it. But yeah, it was fine and dandy and whatever until he had a son. His wife was pregnant and then gave birth to a son. And so he has an heir now. And so he doesn't need Caspian. So he's going to murder him. And up until this point, Caspian has been getting these lessons, first from the stories of his nursemaid and then from formal teachings by Cornelius, who is really obviously a dwarf.
Half dwarf,
but still.
Which brings up interesting implications that one can be a half dwarf, but we'll save that for later.
It's just really funny how he's described. He's like, he's the shortest man I've ever met. And he's got this long silver pointed beard and all this stuff. And it's just like, Caspian, that's a dwarf. Anyway, gets all these lessons about old Narnia, because technically Prince Caspian's ancestors were conquerors, starting with Caspian the First, and they come from a different land, Telamon, and so he's a Telemarin.
Is it Telmar or Tel?
I don't know. I watched the movie 2 days ago. All pronunciation had left.
No, I think they come from Telmar.
Telmar. Okay, there we go. And came into Narnia, took over, got rid of the talking animals, the dwarves, the other fantasy creatures. They treated the environment so badly that the dryads and all of those guys hid within the trees, so the trees aren't magic anymore. Very heavy ecological, hey, stop being bad to the earth, guys, or the whole magic will be lost.
Yep, him and Tolkien.
So they've driven out all this magic. Caspian, however, believes that it existed, because it's getting to the point where the propaganda is like, that didn't exist. There weren't magical creatures. Animals can never talk. What are you talking about? So when he runs away, he runs away into this forest that Cornelius is like, that's where you need to go. And yes, indeed, he does run into moving trees, which knock him out. And then he meets 2 dwarves and a badger, one of which being obviously Trumpkin.
Yep, and then a dwarf called Nickabrick, and the badger is called Truffle Hunter, which is a great name. I love it.
I thought it was a pig. And it's like, it's a badger. It's like, oh, that still makes sense. But my first thought was a pig.
Yep. Oh, also about Telmar and the Telmarines is they are really afraid of the ocean and the trees.
Ghosts and Aslan.
Yep. So they hate it. They know that they've maybe subconsciously that they've done wrong or something. And so they just despise that whole area.
they're going to stay away. But they don't. It's a long story. Not really. It's a very short story.
Yeah, it is a short story. It's all about 100 pages.
105, according to my book. But he comes to them. Nick Brick's the only one, really, that's like, kill him. He's one of them. You know, he's the enemy and whatever. And everyone else is immediately goes behind Prince Caspian. They're like, yeah, you're the rightful ruler. You're going to bring Narnia back. It's going to be great. And then they go to war because Miraz realizes that Caspian has run away. His horse went back to the stables as they're trained to do. And so they found out, oh no, he's missing. Which, how did you not know the kid you were wanting to murder has been missing from the castle for a very long time? It's like a day and a half before he loses his horse. What do you mean?
Yeah, Cornelius was pulling strings, I guess.
Maybe, but it was kind of crazy. Anyway, they're going to go to war. So the Narnians are immediately swept into war and they keep having battles and it's not going well. So I believe it's Trumpkin. Somebody says, hey, here's Susan's horn. We need to blow this to try to get help. We could use literally anything. Please blow this horn. And then we're going to send Trumpkin to the ruins of the castle, and we're going to send Powderwig, who is a squirrel, to the Lantern Waste, and we're going to see what happens. In the movie...
This is what first caught me off guard when I realized, like, oh, this is going to be a inspired by kind of...
In the movie, he's running away. He gets off the horse. He doesn't pass out. He's on the ground. Nickabrick, Trumpkin, and Truffle Hunter come out. He gets frightened by them, and he blows the horn just kind of randomly, honestly, and then I think it's Nickabrick hits him over the head and he passes out, and that was kind of lame.
Yeah, and that's where Trumpkin gets captured as well, versus in the book, he gets captured way later.
Yeah, when he tries to take a shortcut to the ruins and then he gets caught, not by the warring people, by random guards that are going to turn him, or not even turn him in. They're like, we'll just drown you with the ghosts, which works out for in his favor because it does kind of take him to the ruins, but that's beside the point. In the book, at this point, the children really want to help, so they're going to go find Prince Caspian and their army. And I like the book better. Trumpkin's not sold on them. He's like, you're children. Even if you were kings, you aren't now. It's been forever. And so you overhear part of this conversation where Edmund is like, I need to do it because if I fail, then it won't look as bad. And it's kind of hinting at Edmund being like, Peter, if you fight him and you fail, you're the head king. And so it's going to look terrible on us. So I'm going to do it just in case. Edmund manages to fight him, and then Susan and him do an archery lesson, and finally Lucy heals an injury that Trumpkin has, and then he's like, okay, I'm sold. I believe you guys. I believe who you are and that what you're trying to do. In the movie, he just fights Edmund.
Yeah, almost immediately.
Yeah.
They rescue him from drowning. He's really unappreciative of it.
He's like, you could have got me drowned, even though they literally just saved him from drowning.
Yeah, which, by the way, the dwarf played by Peter Dinklage.
Yes, one of the few times he played a dwarf, and only because he considered the character not to be a stereotypical dwarf portrayal. He has very strong feelings about real dwarves playing dwarves in movies.
Yep. Yeah, it was Peter Dinklage, but in the story, they fight almost immediately on the beach.
He is so moody for the entire movie.
Yeah, in the book, you kind of expect him to be a moody dwarf because that's the way dwarves are portrayed as...
grumpy, but he has other sides. He has other moods, but not this, not the movie. We don't have time to give him other moods. We're too busy making up stuff.
Yeah, this is a serious movie for serious children.
I was not a serious child. But there's this point where they reach a chasm and Lucy sees Aslan. She's like, we should go up and not down, but they vote. And Edmund does a really good job. He's like, I didn't listen to her last time we were in Narnia, and that made a fool out of me. So I think we should go the way she says. But Susan, Peter, and Trumpkin vote going down, so they go down. And then they can't get across, and they run into the army, and they're like, so where did you say you saw Aslan? They go up,
yep.
And then they follow it, and it's about a couple pages, and by then they're able to all see Aslan, and they realize the errors of their ways, and Aslan takes them.
And all the while that this has been happening, them going up and down, Lucy's been having dreams about Aslan.
And the trees.
And the trees are waking up, but just barely.
But that being said, in the movie, they kind of tease Aslan until the very end, even after the battle, almost. Like the battle's about to end and Aslan shows up. Versus the book where he's in it for all of the planning. He's there with the armies and helping and things like that. And I guess they wanted it to be more dire before he steps in, but it does kind of cheapen his role in things from the book to the movie.
Yeah, it does kind of take out the whole... There's a lot of Christian symbolism in what he's saying, including the part where Lucy's like, I saw you, but then the others voted and I went their way. And he goes, you should have come to me alone. And she's like, would other people have been hurt? And he says, it's not for you to know.
Yeah, which in the movie, she's like straight up, I'll go by myself if you guys don't come. I don't even care.
And eventually she gets to that point because in the dream, Aslan says, you have to come this way. And Lucy kicks all the others awake and Edmund kind of persuades them to be like, look, just go. I know none of us can see him. Which, by the way, he's invisible to every kid but Lucy until they finally reach Prince Caspian's little bastion.
Yeah, we're going to just ignore Aslan for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, just like the movie.
So they finally get there. This is where the movie and whatever converge. They meet so much earlier in the movie. Caspian has a scene where everyone's like, we hate you, you're terrible. And then he gives a very mediocre speech, and then they're apparently obsessed because next time we see him with creatures, they're fighting on his behalf.
Yeah, it's like, you're evil. No, I'm not. Well, I trust him. Oh, by the way, did we skip over all of the gathering of the troops once Caspian wakes up?
I mean, there's not much to say, really. They go and talk to bears, and then they go and talk to a squirrel, and then they go and talk to other creatures, and then other creatures, and...
to centaurs, and yeah.
And then the mice, which I like. I think they do a pretty good portrayal of, what is his ridiculous name?
Reepicheep.
Reepicheep in the movie, but I think he's better in the book still.
Yeah, in the movie, when he jumped on Caspian's chest after that whole fight scene, I was just thinking to myself, he's too big. He's not mouse-like enough. But you kind of have to make him that big in the movie.
Yeah. Well, in the book, he's as big as a rabbit.
I forgot about that.
And in the movie, he is mouse size. But it's fine. We won't think about that too long.
It does say in the book that animals are bigger in Narnia when they have the ability to talk and they're all magic.
Yeah, because there is a hare named Camillo that they meet that's the size of like a house cat.
Yep. So I guess they just carried that over.
Yeah, so apparently talking animals are bigger than not talking animals.
Yep.
Which makes you wonder, when Lucy almost got attacked by a bear, shouldn't they have been like, you're kind of small too?
Well, I guess they didn't want to be,
rude.
Would you go up to somebody and be like, you're pretty small. Can you talk?
Well, I just think that when it's coming at you and it's about to hit you, or maybe afterwards looking down at it and being like, maybe it is just a little small.
No, I guess after a couple 100 years, they didn't want to start making assumptions.
It has been a hot minute since I've been in Narnia, so not a lot of bears running around London. But yeah, that's the gathering of the troops. They go and talk to people, and then they go talk to more people, and then they go talk to more people, and all of them are like, yeah, sounds good.
Yep. I did think it was kind of funny where they're just like, time to name drop everybody.
Oh my gosh. So many people that never come up ever again.
And then Cornelius comes back right in the middle of it too, where they're having this big powwow and Cornelius is just like, yeah, I escaped. Anyway, they're coming. I did like the character of Glenstrom, the centaur.
Yes, he was pretty cool. He makes it to the movie as well.
Yep. But in the end, him and all of these magical Narnians go over to where the stone table from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe used to be, which has now been turned into this mound.
Yes, it's called the Hob, and they're hiding there.
The Hob or the How?
The How. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So it's called the How. And yes, it has the stone table underground. They have moved it. This is most of the book at this point. And the movie has them get together within the first hour. This movie is 2 hours and 30 minutes. What in the world could they possibly fill it with?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, for me, when I was watching it, I was just thinking to myself, they're stretching things and then they're cutting things.
Yes.
Where the whole tromp through the island is really cut short. And then they added scenes that were just weird to me.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about that right now because one of the scenes they added was not in the book at all.
Peter and Caspian meeting. They see a Minotaur and they're about to attack it because Minotaurs used to be evil. Yeah, Minotaurs are not in the book because there's a lot of Minotaur scenes. And there's a big Minotaur moment in a minute. But they're about to attack those creatures and then Caspian shows up and Peter and Caspian are sword fighting to show just how annoying their relationship's going to be for the rest of the movie. Because Peter, in the book, meets Prince Caspian and is like, hey, we don't want the crown. All we're doing here is making sure that you get the crown. That's our point for being here and for helping you. We want you on the throne. Movie Peter is obnoxious. He has a hero complex. He's stuck in the past in the days where he was a king and he was able to do all of that and whatnot. And so he keeps overruling Caspian and not letting him in on the plan and all of this stuff. It's obnoxious, but not as obnoxious as Susan and Prince Caspian have a thing.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. I did not expect them to go pedal to the metal right as the movie ended.
Well, it's throughout the entire piece. They keep looking at each other. They keep making eyes at each other. To parallel, the fact she doesn't want nerds. She wants jocks. Like, I really can't with that opening scene and the closing scene. She hates this dude so much. She tells him that her name is Phyllis. And then Lucy runs up going, Susan. And the movie ends with him calling her Phyllis. And I'm just, if you're gonna be a nerd, please be smart. Alas. But no, her and Prince Caspian. And yeah, it does end with, you're going to laugh at me. You haven't listened to the new Taylor Swift album, but there's a song called Ruin the Friendship. And it's all about how she should have kissed this dude growing up and just ruined the friendship. And so that was in my mind a little bit. And then she kisses him. And I was like, oh, Susan's doing Taylor Swift proud. But she's like, yeah, I'm leaving. I'll never be back in Narnia. Never would have worked. I'm 1,300 years older than you. How she knows the exact year, I don't know, but somebody did the math.
Yeah, I completely glossed over the fact that they managed to get the actual years in.
Yeah, someone did the math.
What, they take soil samples? Who told her?
I have no idea.
Goodness gracious.
Both of them are obnoxious, and so Peter is going to make a lot of stupid choices over and over and over again for the sake of being the hero. And then, oh my gosh, at the end, Peter realizes he needs to go back to the real world and live his life there. Are you serious? All of that work, all of the annoying character development, just for him to be like, shrug. We had another conversation with Aslan off screen and my heart is completely changed. Anyway, they created a scene for the movie, not even a scene, a whole plot line in the movie where Peter decides they need to take the castle. Okay, let's talk about Mraz for a little bit before we get to the thing we both screamed about.
Oh boy, you're going to love this, audience.
So in the book, Mraz has already politicked and murdered his way to kingdom. In the movie, he has not done that yet. And so he sets up all these scenes where first it's the old Narnians had captured Prince Caspian and I need to take over so I can save him. And then he sets up a fake Narnia attack. It's like, oh, well, I'm sorry, guys. They're to the lords. I'm so sorry. Apparently he's part of the rebellion. I guess we're going to need a new king. But what bothers me about the Narnia attack things is the king's basically like kill 3 of your men. And they're literally standing behind the general and the scene ends with the general turning around and going to fight him. It's 3-on-1, man. Like, how did this happen? I don't quite believe this because he is in no way seriously injured or maimed from this encounter where he just killed 3 men. They're not just going to stand there.
They're loyal soldiers. They died for the cause.
Oh my gosh, I doubt it.
Yeah, no.
The general's completely made up. He's just this random punching bag that allows Mraz to order him around.
Let's see. What were the names of his 2 scheming little generals in the book?
So they were not generals, they're lords.
Lords, that's right.
Clozel,
Glozzel, and Sapesian.
Yeah, who are in the movie.
Yeah, wonderfully unsettling names.
In the movie, they're kind of righteous. They're like, you shouldn't take over and blah, blah, blah. Until later on, they're like, oh, we could take over. But in the book, it's made very clear, no. But in the book, it's made very clear that they are scheming. They scheme to get Miraz on the throne to begin with. So they have a little bit of a personality change that may or may not make sense to most people because they don't really go into character development for them. We're too busy having this castle siege that goes terribly wrong.
And terribly long.
It's pretty rough. And the point is, Peter's supposed to kill Miraz, and Prince Caspian's supposed to be doing this other thing in a completely different section of the castle, but he decides to go and kill Miraz, except he doesn't kill Miraz, and his wife has a crossbow in bed? So many questions about that scene. And so a bunch of Narnians die because of this. And Peter blames Caspian. Caspian blames Peter. It's obnoxious. We hate it.
Yeah, they even get to drawn swords on one another.
But the real winner of the show is Susan, who, during the battle, uses an arrow as a dagger, which may or may not be feasible.
Oh.
But then... It's so stupid. I rewatched it 3 times.
Yeah. So this archer is in the thick of the fighting, in and throughout both front lines, firing shots off.
She's in the middle of it.
As an archer should be. Takes an arrow.
Stabs a guy with it.
Yeah. Stabs a guy.
Pulls it back out, unharmed. And then...
casually flicks it.
Throws it.
Just this offhand kind of,
And it impales a dude in the neck.
No, not in the neck, through armor. That's what I remember, is it just goes right through that vest that he's wearing.
Like, it's so funny.
So she knew I was watching this movie, and as I was watching it, I texted her, she throws the arrow, are you kidding me, in all caps.
It's so freaking funny. That's not how arrows work.
No, it's...
They need velocity and speed.
I realize they wanted some action scenes in this movie. It just... Come on, man.
It's so freaking funny that no one on set was like, she could use her bow and arrow that's in her hands, or she could throw it.
Yep. Just, it's so dumb.
That's all I remember from the castle scene. That and Miraz totally ditched his wife.
Oh yeah, no, secret passage, just leaves.
Secret tunnel.
So after his wife shoots the crossbow to save her husband.
Because he's like, you don't want your child to be fatherless, do you? And then she shoots him, and then he runs off, and I'm like, solid.
And then they hand her the paycheck, and they say, your scene is over until the very last scene.
She got 3 scenes, and she didn't even talk.
Yep, which is better than the book, which did not have her in at all.
No, she was just like, she doesn't like Caspian. Anyway, she wasn't feeling well, and then, oh my goodness, baby.
Yeah, I don't think she's mentioned after those chapters.
What do you mean she suddenly got sick and then baby?
That's from Caspian's point of view, it's him as a kid being like, I guess she's not feeling well, and that could be like morning sickness or something.
Anyway, the most secret pregnancy ever. It doesn't work. A bunch of people died. It's very sad. Peter has to eat his words a little bit, but he doesn't. He blames Prince Caspian. Nickabrick, this is very different in the book versus movie. Nickabrick is convinced Aslan's not coming. In the book, he's convinced Peter and the rest of them aren't coming either. That's just a myth. They don't exist. And so his solution is like, fine, we tried this way. Let's go with a white witch. I bring you a werewolf and a witch. And the werewolf gives a weird speech. I don't like it in the book. It's even weirder in the movie. It just comes across as edgelord nonsense, like you would post on Tumblr. I am hunger. I am thirst. Whatever. Shut up.
But you gotta remember, I wonder when edgelording was originally around, because this is 1951.
I mean, everyone has always tried to be itchy, but...
Yep. The thing that I didn't like about any of the movies that did this is that being a werewolf, he should have just looked like a really disturbing guy.
Which he does in the book.
Yeah, because in the book it said only his head transformed before he died. But in every movie, they want him as wolf-like as possible.
Yeah, it's weird.
Also, did not like the look of the witch, just physically repulsive.
No, she becomes like a vulture and not like an old lady.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Ugly people are evil. That's moral.
Yeah, remember, kids, all ugly people are evil.
We hate them.
No, but in the book, Nickabrick does mention pretty early on where he says, I don't care if it's Aslan or the witch, I'll take whoever so long as we're not under the Telmarines.
Yeah, and so it's a good scene in the movie. It's the only good one I really like in the movie. They form a circle. Ice mirror portal exists. She's like, hey, I just need your blood. The witch cuts his hand, and he's about to offer his hand, and then Peter shows up. And in the book, that's when Peter and Edmund shows up, and there's a fight, and Nickabrick gets killed, and it's over, done with, whatever. In the movie, portal, blood, Peter shows up. He pushes him away. He's like, how dare you, blah, 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 blah. But then he gets kind of riled up in it. And then let's talk about the best Edmund scene. And I wish it was in the book. That's the only thing I'm going to say for this movie is this scene. The mirror is there. It looks like Peter or Caspian might be enchanted by the White Witch, who is like, oh, just give me your blood and I'll do whatever. And Edmund rams his sword through the back of this ice portal and it just crumbles.
Yep, so definitely a little bit of redemption there.
Massive redemption. It felt so good.
But I felt like his redemption was kind of cut short by the fact that his first comment after it happened was this snarky, had it handled, huh?
Yeah, he was like, oh, I know, you had it handled. Because my husband paraphrased what he said, and his was better. And my husband was just like, trust me, it's not worth it.
Yeah, that is my same thought. He could have absolutely done some like, yeah, I've been there kind of deal. But instead, he just pumps up the snark.
Peter kind of deserves it. But yeah, give Edmund more time. Don't make this about Peter.
Yeah.
Make this about Edmund. Oh well. Moving on. They end up doing the battle, the one-on-one battle, which happens in the book. In the book, they battle. And honest to goodness, the one-on-one battle felt like watching Dragon Ball Z. Because it's not Peter's perspective. We're not experiencing this through Peter. We're experiencing this between Trumpkin and Edmund talking about what's happening on the field.
Yeah, we definitely get some announcer perspective.
And so it just felt like Dragon Ball Z when like Vegeta or somebody, Piccolo and whoever is on the side talking about whatever battle's going on down there. Like, oh no, he was just injured. Do you think he'll be able to go on?
When I woke up today, I did not expect the convergence of of Dragon Ball Z and Narnia, but I am so happy that it happened.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. But I will say it does a better job than if Lewis tried to have it all from Peter and Mraz's perspective and just tried to go with a fight from there. Because a lot of the Narnia books are kind of this over-the-shoulder perspective.
Yes. Or it's being told to you. Like the second half of the book is literally just Trumpkin telling a story to the kids.
Yeah. Oh, and we haven't even gotten to my favorite part of the book.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but we'll finish with Peter and Mraz.
So yeah, they have a fight. Peter wins in both cases, and the lords make it look like Peter did something dishonorable in the book, and so a full battle breaks out. In the movie, they have Peter switch with Caspian, and Caspian's gonna kill Mraz, and then Mraz is like, oh my goodness, you're gonna be just like me, and Caspian ends up not killing him because he's like, I'm not gonna be like you can keep your life. And then this one actually is clever. The lords use an arrow as a dagger to be like, look, they shot him, with a very specific ancient Narnia arrow.
Yep. I did think it was pretty funny to me. So the lords kill Mraz, and then one of the soldiers or one of the generals, whoever was there on their side, immediately runs up and tries to kill Peter or Caspian. And Caspian just slices his neck right off. You see his head roll away. Okay, so we're not against killing as a concept.
Nope.
It was just really funny to me where it's like, I'm not a killer like you. And then about a minute later, he's already drawing blood.
No, it reminds me of Wizard of Oz, where the entire first book, the Tin Man is just murdering people, chopping them up with his axe left and right. And then later on, they're like, oh my goodness, the axeman is so kind. He wouldn't even kill a bug. Like a bug landed on him and he refused to kill it. And they're like, oh my goodness, you're so kind. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's chopped up at least 3 people at this point.
Amazing.
And so that's what I thought of with that, where, yeah, Caspian's like, I'm not a murderer like you. Anyway, back to war.
Yeah.
Oh, well. In the end, what ends up happening is there's this bridge. And in the book, it kind of makes it sound like it's been there for a while. But in the movie, Miraz builds it. And I'm not really understanding what's going on with the bridge in the movie. But Aslan gets this water spirit to help out this water god. In the book, he has them blow up the bridge because apparently it's chained him and bound him. And then in the movie, the water god kind of takes care of it. But yeah, we did it.
Oh yeah, we forgot about the romp.
Oh, and the trees. The trees come back.
Yep, this was my favorite part of the book. Aslan is with Lucy and Susan this entire time, by the way. While Peter is off fighting Miraz, Lucy and Susan are off with Aslan. And Aslan goes and he roars and they hear it everywhere. And the trees wake up. By the way, the gods are there.
Yep, like Bacchus, straight up.
Yeah, straight up Greek gods are just roaming around. And they throw this massive parade, party, festival, romp, whatever you want to call it. And they just go right into the nearest Telmarine town.
Yeah, and they do a bunch of nonsense.
It's so crazy. They turn this dad that's beating his son upside the head with a stick, and they turn that guy into a tree, and the son is like, haha, I'm free.
I'm going to go join an army.
Yeah, and so all the ones that are scared are running away, and all the ones that aren't scared are joining in the festivities.
Which very much feels like Jesus' conversations.
Yep.
It's very funny. One of them, the schoolmaster's mean, and so they recruit a little girl, but one of them, the students are mean, and they recruit the teacher, and all the boys become pigs, and it's nonsense.
Oh, I loved that part of the book.
He straight up goes into this woman's house because she's on her deathbed dying, and he heals her. And I was like, C.S. Lewis is not subtle.
No, it was also the nursemaid of Caspian that we'd lost in the first few pages of the book.
It is the nursemaid, which made me happy that Caspian and her kind of reunited.
That whole scene just drew me back into the fact Lewis is not Tolkien-esque. He doesn't need to be this grimdark until the last light kind of deal. I don't see this kind of fantasy too often, if at all, outside of what Lewis is doing. This kind of, it's magic, it's fun, it's a party. It's not just end of the world or that kind of deal. It's just fun. It's actual fun. It's fun to read, and it's fun for them in the story.
Tim.
Yes.
Do I have some children's books for you? But we'll get there.
It's the most threatening way I've ever been asked to read.
The war is won is the important part here.
Yep.
There's this really cool scene with Reepicheep. He's been a champ, enthusiastic, passionate throughout this whole time, but he ends up getting his tail cut off. And they ask Aslan, hey, can you fix my tail? And he's like, you're fine without a tail. And he's like, no, a tail is the honor of a mouse. And he gives a really passionate speech in the book. In the movie, he's just like, oh, it helps my balance. Whatever, cheapen it, why don't you? Aslan's not going to heal him until the other mice, there's like 12 of them, and the other mice are like, he's a hero, and if he has to walk around without a tail, we're not wearing a tail either. We're going to cut off our own tails. And so Aslan agrees to heal Reepicheep because his people love him so much that they would be willing to do that. It's a good scene.
Yep.
I like it a lot. I wish it wasn't cheapened in the movie, but I am glad it was there. But yeah, other than that, they have a party.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
The movie has more of a Lord of the Rings vibe where they gather in the square and speeches are made and whatever.
Yeah, it's a big battle scene, the second big battle scene after the castle.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of strategy and all that, and Aslan is absent until the very, very end. And Susan has her own little deal where she and Lucy go off into the forest, and Susan kills like 6 guys.
Yeah, just straight up.
Oh, and she's saved by Caspian. Whoopee.
Yeah, what are you doing there? There's a war on. Like, oh well. But yeah, we get to the end. It's all great. Caspian is knighted. He's made part of the government. Susan and Peter can't return. Oh no. Plot twist. The line that Caspian came from was also from the real world. They were pirates. And the movie definitely makes a much more PG version of what those pirates did.
Yeah.
They found a cave.
Yeah, pirates found a cave instead of... Pirates kept raiding the South Sea Islands until they had enough women to start their own civilization. And then they went into an island with a cave and found Narnia.
Yeah.
And that's kind of more what pirates were like, instead of this, oh, they just kind of randomly found it.
Yeah. They were searching.
Yeah.
So he makes a doorway where if you go through it, you can go back to the real world. And that ends up being how the 4 children get back. It ends with Edmund realizing that he left his new electric torch back in Narnia in both the movie and the book. Hooray, poor Edmund.
Hooray.
General thoughts. I'm glad we got to use the bow this time. I was a little sad last book. She's like given a bow and arrow and she uses it once. It's like, that's a waste, but it's used to much better effect this book. The movie is a solid 66 to me. Rotten Tomatoes is all-knowing once more.
Yeah, I definitely liked the book more. That may just be because, I don't know, I like the literary more than cinema anyway, but I just felt it was weird. After the first movie was almost entirely faithful, and then they pulled out these weird stops in the movie this time. I just didn't understand the direction that the director wanted to go.
I don't think anyone did.
I really would have enjoyed seeing that scene that I enjoyed.
Yeah, that was the one good ad, but yeah, like you said, it could have had a better line at the end.
Yep. And I guess one of the reasons that they didn't want to do it is because a few years before this, I think 5 years before, you had the March of the Ents with Tolkien and those movies. And then in this movie, you also had a bunch of trees moving forward like a living forest. And so they didn't want to copy it. But even so, or maybe they just didn't want to confuse kids because Lewis talks a lot about gods and goddesses, and that probably would have gone over a few people's heads.
Yeah, it would take way too long to explain who Bacchus is.
Not just Bacchus, where it's like, well, I don't want Greek gods in my Christian movie. What are we teaching the kids?
What's going on?
This guy is falling down drunk.
And the children feel unsafe with him around. Good thing Aslan's here.
Yeah, it does say that, where it's like, if Aslan weren't around, this would be really scary.
So bizarre.
Which I guess is also kind of that Christian allegory.
I do think we're at a downgrade, though, because we get a Bacchus cameo, but last book we got a Santa Claus cameo.
Yeah.
Bacchus does not beat Santa Claus.
Yeah, Santa is not mentioned forever again.
He's just mentioned briefly that he's the one that gave the gifts, and that's why Edmund doesn't have gifts, because he wasn't there.
Yep.
I do love in the first chapter he mentions several times, if you had read the last book.
Yeah, I do like how C.S. Lewis just occasionally decides to skip the middleman and go directly to the reader. But in the end, the movie was mediocre to me.
66, would you say?
Yeah, it does not get full marks, as they might say. It's not something I would watch again anytime soon.
Yeah. One question for the author. He talks so much about food in this book, especially in the first section, so I have to know his favorite breakfast. I bet it's not apples. He was not particularly thrilled about the children having to eat apples all the time.
Yeah, for at least 6 meals in a row, they just have apples.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. But so that makes me wonder, what is the correct breakfast, C.S. Lewis? What are we looking for?
I would probably ask C.S. Lewis, what is your favorite myth? He talked about Bacchus, he talked about the fauns, he loves dryads and naiads and all that kind of stuff. And I know just from the history that I know about Lewis, he really liked all this Greek lore and, this Greek and Roman kind of stuff. So I would ask him, what is your favorite? What would you have included if you could, or what did you include that you really enjoyed?
That's a good one.
Yeah, because I know Tolkien was very much into the northern lore above the Alps, whereas Lewis seems a lot more toward the Mediterranean kind of stuff.
Yeah, good question. Rating, war never changes out of 10. That's really funny if you know what Fallout is. So the book is very much in the vein of the first book, so it's not a huge change in tone and anything. It's very C.S. Lewis, but also movie adaptations of books. That never seems to change, which is a bummer. So it is both about the book and about the movie.
For the book, it would be Dancing with Trees out of 10.
That sounds fun.
I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it more than I thought I did. At first, I wanted to be cynical, just like the last book, where it's like, oh, I'm reading a children's book. And then you just fall into it and you realize, I'm having fun. This is a fun book to read. This is so much different than
Adult.
Yeah, this kind of mean gray and gray morality kind of deal. There is a good, there is an evil. You can have fun while fighting, and it's just fun to read. The movie I already said is meh out of 10, so.
Which is funny because you've read these books before and you have enjoyed these books before.
The last time I read these books, I was probably having them read to me.
Probably, but read again. Yeah, I like it. It's good. It's 100 pages. It's not bad.
I'll echo that. One of these days, I might actually just go through one after the other instead of spacing them out so much.
Yeah, to just read them back to back.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be too terribly hard. It'd be all combined. It'd probably be like reading a Brandon Sanderson book or Lunar Chronicles book, like 500 to 800 pages, but so many stories.
Yeah, so it is a fair number of pages to read all of them in a row, but if you're just going to go through like 3 at a time, it's fine.
Favorite of the series so far? I think the first one. I like having the White Witch as an established villain. She's in the book. She's all about it. This book has Miraz kinda. He's more of an off-page threat, and every time he's on page, he's kind of an idiot. The movie's not sure what it wants to do with him. They want to make him the evil, wicked villain, but they also want to make him dumb enough to fall for really obvious reverse psychology and to be prideful, but also be a coward and this weird combination of things. So he doesn't really come across as much other than the villain, where I feel like the White Witch did a really good job. To the point when she shows up in the movie, you're like, oh no, it's the White Witch. If Miraz showed up again, you'd be like, oh, you're annoying.
I didn't mention this earlier, I did enjoy that all of their masks.
Yeah, so I love the costuming in the movies. In the movies, when Miraz is fighting, he has a lion's mask, which I think is really symbolic because he's claiming that Aslan doesn't even exist. But the mask shows even if he does exist, he is assuming the power of Aslan, being like, I'm the one in charge. How you feel about Aslan is how you should feel about me. It's just so good. The costuming is so good.
Yep. I did enjoy, and I probably will say this every single sequel we have, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is something magical. It just sets up everything, and you can feel it throughout the other books. Oh, this is where it all started. So maybe until the last battle, that probably won't change.
We will see.
Yep.
But have you read this book? If you were a talking animal, what would you be? Do you have any book recommendations for us? Tell us all about it in the comments below. If you like the video, hit like. If you're enjoying yourself, hit subscribe for more. Thank you for exploring Prince Caspian with us. Join us next time when we'll be covering Kiss the Girl by Zoraida Cordova. I'm Sam Reiner.
And I'm Tim Bergman.
And we hope to see you and a friend here next time. Escape with Me Book Club is a Lunar Skulk production. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok to keep up to date with us. Lunar_SKULK.